morning to all of you, and especially from my friends from VAT. I'm very familiar with my colleagues from the CBEC, so my friends from VAT. Just 2 weeks back, I was in your position, sitting and listening to source trainers. Within a period of two weeks, they have crowned us as master trainers, and now I have to pass on the baton to you. So the topics which have been assigned to me, there are two topics. One is the overview of the IGST Act, and the second is the place of supply of goods and services. We'll go along. Let us see how much time it takes. Should we give a break or we can finish it off? This presentation was prepared by the source trainer G.D. Lohani. I had no time to prepare my own. So thanks to Mr. Lohani, who is the Principal Commissioner of Delhi. So he made this presentation, so I am borrowing it. So thanks to him. So the presentation plan would be like this. First thing is, we'll just touch upon IGST, the basics of IGST, because I think in the last 4 days, you must have over and over listened to the usage of IGST, and I'm very sure that Upendra Gupta sir must have explained in detail how the IGST model works. And yesterday I was also there. Ritvik sir, with a beautiful illustration, he explained how the fund transfer takes place and why that takes place. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible with my understanding. So the first thing will be introduction of GST. Then we'll have an overview of the Act. We should know the provisions of the Act. It's not a very big Act. It's a very comprehensive small Act with 33 sections. So we will just flip through that. And the most complicated thing is the place of supply. So let us see how we can go about that. Actually, when this session was held, when we were getting trained, that day only Rajya Sabha passed the GST bill, and before the bill was passed, there was a lot, in that crowd there was a lot of discussion why this model should have been there. There are so many, if you read the discussion paper, there are 3 or 4 models which were discussed for interstate movement of goods, but ultimately they decided it should be IGST. So let us not go into, even I don't know what is the other models, some pre-VAT model, post-paid VAT model, and things like that. But ultimately, our lawmakers decided that it should be the IGST model. So with the premise that, yes, we are going to administer the IGST, we'll discuss that. 2 things which you have to remember when we are discussing IGST is that 2 cardinal principles are there, which you must already be knowing. One is that at no point of time, tax should escape in any chain of supply. That is number 1. Number 2, there should be seamless flow of credit. These are the 2 cardinal principles and very necessary and prerequisite for IGS to work. The whole principle behind this is that we have to give the taxpayer a seamless flow of credit, and from the government point of view, no transaction should escape tax. With this premise, this IGST has been introduced. This, our VAT friends would be in a better position to think. These are the enabling provisions in the Constitution. So, from CBEC friends can go through that. This Article 269, the CST was levied. We are bringing IGST in place of the CST, Central Sales Tax, which was collected at the origin state. The other features were that the input tax credit was not available, and there was a form of accountal verification of interstate movement. I think it's a C form for the movement of goods, and ITC of CST and entry tax was not allowed to the buying taxpayer. These are the enabling provisions. So this is for our CBEC friends. So what are the complexities involved in interstate supply of goods? Just imagine there is a state A and state B. So in the present, in the GST regime, what is going to happen? GST is collected on any supply, yes, made in the originating state. I'm making it very simple. So what happens? Just take it as a B2B. B2B, you all know what is B2B. It is one taxpayer to the other taxpayer. So what happens? In this transaction, the ITC of tax paid on S is used for the payment of GST on further supplies. So this utilization of ITC means payment of lesser tax in cash to state B. There is something amiss here. The tax is not moving, but already the credit is taken by state B. So there is something, the B is at a loss because credit is being used of the tax paid in A. So B should get an amount of A. So how do you settle that? That is the simple problem. In B2C supplies, where at the end of the chain you don't take the credit, it ends there. So being a destination based tax, the tax should belong to state B. In respect of B2B, it is revenue neutral. In B2C, it ends there, the chain ends there. So being a consumption based tax, destination based tax, it has to go to B. So how this money goes is all about IGST. So from here comes out the model of IGST. So what are the basic features of IGST levy? There has to be an interstate supplies to attract IGST. There has to be, it includes, the law provides that interstate supplies to include imports and exports. IGST to apply to interstate stock transfer of goods. Earlier this was not there. Now if there is any stock transfer from one state to other, it will be taxed so that there is the seamless flow of credit is there. Again, it is two different registrations. So the law provides that even stock transfers also, IGST is going to be applied. And IGST provides the fungibility. That means the taking of the credit, the CGST credit to pay IGST, SGST credit to IGST, but there is no cross credit between CGST and ST. That is not allowed. But large extent, the taxpayer has the fungibility to use the credit. Centered to levy and collect integrated GST, that is there in the Act. We shall see when we go to the Act. IGST will be governed by the IGST Act. So this is the basic features of IGST levy. So ultimately, as I told you, what it achieves, it maintains the integrity of the ITC chain in interstate supplies. There will be no cascading, and tax interstate supplies effectively while keeping the regime simple. So this is what the IGST. So let us see how this thing works. Payment of IGST. If you are a tax officer, how would you like your assessee to pay tax in? How would you like your assessee to pay tax? In what manner? Cash. Wonderful tax officer. Cash. But what happens? He says, I will not pay in cash, I will pay in, I have a credit, use your IGST credit, then that is over. Then TK will allow him to use CGST credit also. If that is also exhausted, then you say use your SGST also. On the other side, plus if there is any cash is there, in the end he will pay cash. Then on the other side, how the IGST is utilized? You pay through IGST credit, then remaining CGST credit and GST, SGST credit. But here, there are two transactions. Yesterday, you must have seen. Two transactions which are worrisome. What is this? The one which I have circled here and the one which I have circled here. Why? What is the implication of this? Now, what is the implication of using of IGST, SGST credit? That means a tax which was supposed to go to center, IGST, he has used credit, right? So, center is losing out on its transaction because credit of SGST has been used for the payment of IGST there. So, there is something wrong here. We have allowed that to happen, right? And said that you are told the taxpayer, don't worry, we will do the fund transfer. But here, this is, and on the side, IGST has been used for the payment of SGST. So here what happens, the state is losing, center has to pay. So they have to settle the amount. This is just simply put IGST. How do you do the fund transfer and all? You have seen yesterday. If you want me to give a simple example like a quiz, we'll talk about a small example. Same thing what Ritvik sir said, not so complex, we'll just discuss how the credit is. So just take supply, interstate supply from supplier X to supplier Y. The value of the supply, just value is, you can take it as 2000, and the IGST rate is 20%. So what will be the IGST? He has to pay 400. Okay. Suppose from his book of accounts, he already has IGST credit of 100 rupees, ITC of CGST of 50 rupees, and ITC of SGST 100 rupees. Now, how is he going to discharge the IGST liability? Can somebody tell me how much of IGST is going to use, how much of CGST is going to use? Does he have to need to pay cash at all here? So how does he? What is that hierarchy which you have learned? I think you must have, there is a hierarchy of using the credit. This is just for our understanding, just like the quiz you must all be knowing. So how much IGST, how much you can use here? Right, good. How much of CGST you can use here? Fully. And how much of SGST you can use here? Sorry, 100. Okay. So this is his IGST liability. Now, he transfers the goods, the supply goes to the other side. The X, what does he get credit of? IGST. So he has 400 IGST credit. Just imagine his CGST liability is 1000 rupees he has to pay, because whatever he has manufactured or he has supplied there is subject to CGST and SGST. So SGST liability of 1000 is there. And in his book of accounts, IGST credit of 500. No. In his book of accounts, already there is some credit. So let us see. 250. And, sorry, this is CGST of 250 and SGST of will be 300. Okay. So now, let us discuss how does he discharge his CGST liability with this. He has to pay CGST of 1000 rupees. So first what can he take? He can only take CGST. So 250. Then what can he take? IGST. So IGST, he takes 500. He already has 400 here, and why 900? His liability is only 1000. So why will he pay 750? That's it. So so he has completed his CGST liability using that credit. Then SGST of 300. So in remaining, agreed? How much is remaining here? 150. And then how much in cash? That's it. As simple as that. This is how the IGST works. Yesterday Ritvik sir gave 4 suppliers, quite complicated. That is also very easy, but I just wanted to make you understand this is how the credit is used. Now, this is not a concern for us as tax officers. In the GST scheme of things, the account settlement is not for us or for the taxpayer. We have some other agency to do that, some other organization to do that. They are the account officers. But let us understand how it works. Just you take one state A. There is a dealer. All that you need to ask from the taxpayer over a period of time is, how much have you used your ITC of SGST for the payment of IGST? Say you call that A. Okay? This is available in the invoice, in the return. I think in the return somewhere down one entry is there. Okay? Even if it doesn't give, you can at the end of the debiting, you can, we ourselves can find out when you are debiting the ledger. Then ITC of IGST used for the payment of IGST. Just give these two data for us. Okay? Then in a state there will be 1000 dealers. So you have 2000 entries. Okay. So what you do is, you just add A and add B, sigma A and sigma B. That's it. So in what happens if it can be positive, negative, the entries need not be 1000, somebody will have the other side less, this side more, this side less. So what is the implication of this? If A is more than B, A is more than B, that means the state has to make a transfer to the center. This is how the accounting is done. I am just showing you a small example. And if it is B, it is otherwise. So this information is captured in the return. Now there is something in the IGST called apportionment. The previous example which I gave was B2B supplies. But what about B2C supplies, where the credit chain gets ended and the tax has to go, okay, supposed to go, but there are certain situations like B2C supplies, interstate supplies and imports, okay, where the credit chain gets ended, the credit is not used anymore. And what can be B2B non-ITC supplies? Some examples? Yes, good. Composition dealers, supplies not eligible as ITC. I think there's a negative list in the ITC where you can't, like a motor car. There's so many lists are there. If you, in the ITC session, they must have taken. And supplies which ITC not taken, there's a limit to take the ITC within a period of 1 year. That is there. So in this, what happens is IGST is in the IGST account. That is going to be, the word uses apportionment. So that is going to be apportioned among the center and the states. The center will get a portion and the state will get a portion. When you go to the IGST Act, we will see. So there is a provision for apportionment of taxes. So these are the, we need not discuss much, these are the enabling provisions in the Constitution Amendment Bill, Article 279A. So now we will move to the IGST Act itself. As I told you, it's a very small act, 33 sections. Just a good slide which shows which sections, what constitute interstate and intrastate supply of levy. That is the new to this thing. Most of the provisions are taken from the CGST Act. So this is section 3, 3 and 4. You can open your model GST law and see, in the end it is there. The determination of place of supply and goods and services is in 5 and 6. This is what we are going to discuss later. Payment of tax, interest, penalty, ITC, cash, and that is 7 and 8. ITC, transfer of ITC, apportionment, which I just talked about, settlement of funds is 9 and 10. Settlement of cases, which is the maximum, actually 15 sections are devoted to this. I think that class, I don't know whether it has been scheduled or not. We're not going to discuss that. Applicability of the provision of CGST Act and other miscellaneous provisions, 27 to 30. And transition provision, again somebody must have handled that, 31 to 33. So these are the provisions of CGST Act that have been applied uniformly to IGST. You can just go through this, section 27, section 8. And again, offense penalties, adjudication. This is common. If you read CGST Act and IGST Act, these provisions are common to both. So let us go to the Act. IGST means a tax levied under this Act on the supply of any goods and or services in the course of international trade or commerce. So import of goods or services deemed to be interstate supply and export of goods and services deemed to be interstate supply. This is the definition, section 2(1)(c). Then you have the appropriate state in relation to a taxable portion. This word appropriate state is more in relation to fund transfer, where the actual fund has to go. In that relation, I think they have mentioned this appropriate state, section 1E, 2(1)(e). Then the Act defines what is intrastate, that is also in the law. To simply put it, state A, location of supplier, location of supply, both are in one state, it is intrastate, and interstate, if that location of supply goes to that is called interstate. That is there in the Act. Now it is pictorially depicted here. That's it. So definition is there in the Act. But here, when I was reading, even it's a little bit confusing to me also. Here you see location of supplier. We keep talking about location of the recipient, but here the word uses location of supply. What can be the significance of that? Location of supply is something, maybe I think we will get the answer in place of supply because it is mentioned there. So maybe that is the answer, we will see. So these are the enabling provisions of the Act on interstate supply of goods or services at the rate specified in the schedule of the Act. We don't know how much is going to be the IGST rate. That will be decided later. Collected in the prescribed manner. To be paid by a taxable person, section 4(2). Reverse charge, not there now. That maybe if they put reverse charge on IGST, that will be on the recommendation of the GST Council. And even if there are any exemptions, that will be there in section 4(4). It will be specified. Then section 7 is very important, payment of tax, interest, penalty, and the manner of payment of tax, that is section 7, that is there very much in detail. Section 8 provides for claim of ITC, provisional acceptance, matching, reversal, reclaim. I think these are all from CGST only, so we need not worry much on this. So this is just how the payment is made. We've already gone through it, electronic cash ledger, credit ledger, and hierarchy. We all discussed now. So same thing is there here also. Section 9, transfer of input tax credit. We already discussed ITC used for the payment of CGST, transfer such amount to CGST account. This both are handled by central government, so not much of a worry. ITC paid for the payment of SGST, transfer of amount to appropriate state. So this is the apportionment of tax which I just told you to central government, amount equivalent to CGST. For example, the RNR, the rate if it is CGST is 10 and SGST is 8. So I think it should be 10/18. How the apportionment is done will be 10/18 in that ratio. On the supplies to unregistered person or to a composite taxpayer. On the supplies to a registered person who can't take ITC. On imports by an unregistered person or by a composition taxpayer, on imports by a registered person who can't take ITC. These are the situations where the ITC credit does not go anywhere, it lies there in the IGST account, that is apportioned between the center and the states. To state government, after it has been provided, the center gets the first preference of apportionment, then the remaining goes to the state. The balance IGST in 4 categories to the place of supply of the state. Wherever the place of supply happens, whichever state, to that state it is apportioned. Even apportionment of interest and penalty collected is there. There are some rule making powers on recommendation of the council for carrying out purposes of the Act relating to settlement of cases for all or any other matter concerning the Act. Not be bothered much about at this stage now. Then interest on delayed payment of tax not paid and undue ITC claimed. Then this is one thing which I would like to dwell a little bit. Refund of IGST paid on intrastate supply. If it is known that a supply, the taxpayer had paid IGST even though it was intrastate transaction. Okay, by mistake he has paid IGST. He should have paid CGST or SGST he has paid, or the other way around. There is a provision to give refund of the IGST. Only thing we tell him that you first pay up the CGST and SGST on that supply, then you will get the refund of IGST. Transition in respect of supplies having linkages with the earlier regime. The transitional provisions. Then class of officers, I think it is mentioned in detail. System will prevent you, right?
I cannot, without exhausting the IGST credit, I cannot.
No. First you have to use that. You have no choice. Anything else on this introduction to IGST Act? Huh? No, the name could have been anything. So to distinguish it as an interstate supply, it is integrated. Name could have been anything. So they kept it as CGST, SGST. So to distinguish that it is a interstate, they have named it as IGST.
Sequence of usage of IGST is IGST, CGST, SGST.
Yes.
I have all three credits at my in my credit, and I wish that I'm doing it intrastate side.
Interstate. Intra.
Intrastate side. Can't I use just my CGST and my SGST without going into my IGST?
I think the hierarchy is given, na? That
Hierarchy is given for IGST usage. Hierarchy is mentioned for IGST.
That is how you have to use it. Maybe, yeah. I think the choice should be.
So I can use my IGST credit only for IGST.
I think that freedom is there. That freedom is there. But you have to, that hierarchy you have to follow. That hierarchy you have to follow, or the usage. Yeah. No, it is self-assessment. It is only by way of anti-evasion or audit only you have to do. There is no assessing officer at all in IR. There is no concept of assessing officer at all.
And there is no situation of availing the credit in the illegal way because it is also done by the
System only. Will we continue with place of supply? So we'll try to finish this topic also. So this is the most complicated part of the IGST, place of supply. So we will just see how this place of supply is something which is already in place in European countries, and even we have been using this after the as far as service tax is concerned. We have the place of provision of service rules more or less in the place of supply. Now there is no service, there is no manufacture, there is no sale. So it is called place of supply rules. So most of the provisions are taken from there, but it is very, very complicated. So even European countries have this. Basically, the place of supply rules were formulated for movement of goods and services for imports. So for that they had formulated the place of supply rules. But later on, for even the intrastate transactions also, this is being used now. So what has happened is that this place of supply rules is so complicated. I'll just give an example of in European Union. I believe that every year they change this place of supply rules depending on the convenience. Just recently, the place of supply was decided in EU as the location of the service provider. So what happened was that Luxembourg, which is a country there, reduced the tax. Okay, so all the telecom companies came and started setting up shop there. So most of the other countries lost out. So then Luxembourg was enjoying all the tax there. So then later on it was decided that place of supply should be the place of the location of the recipient. Then they had some accounting problems. So ultimately now again they have come back to the location of the service provider. So these kind of complications are there. And even in all CBC officers here will agree that even though service tax is 20 years old, it's a relatively a new tax. But as far as the complication in service tax is concerned, I don't think so it has been resolved even today. There are so many complications. So as far as now that our VAT officers are also, the department will start administering service tax, it has to be seen. It's a very tricky situation as far as this is concerned. In fact, when in '94 Finance Act, when I think 3 services was started. I think, yeah, telecom. And '94, I think we all know that in '94 we are all making landline calls. We never had mobile calls. So there was a fixed landline. You are just talking 2 pieces, one in one location, other. It was very easy. Then came your CDMA, GSM, value-added tax, roaming. Just over 20 years, the whole gamut of telecom service has, it has become so complex. Today, we just don't know where the service is being provided, where it is being received, and the problem is that the services are intangible. Goods, it is easy. You can know the movement of goods from one location to other. You can track it. You can put some GPS and track the movement of goods. But service, how do you know how the service is being provided? So it is very, very difficult. So first let us start. What is the significance of place of supply? So why should we have a place of supply rule? Simple thing. One is that to decide whether it is intrastate or interstate. To decide that, we have to have this place of supply. And to decide which tax the taxpayer has to pay, whether it is IGST, whether it is CGST, or whether it is SGST. International, it is very easy because taxing jurisdiction is outside. Imports are, you can easily decide whether it is taxable or not. But in intrastate, it will become very, very challenging because each state will want to know where the supplies happen and where the proxy means where the law provides that the service is being provided. So to know that, we should have a proper place of supply. So these are the 2 determining things. For this only, this place of supply has been provided. In addition to that, the objective of destination-based taxation, taxes paid at the point of origin, and how it is to reach the consumption point is decided by the place of supply rules. And ensure ITC of SGST allowed to the buying taxpayer in the destination state. As I told you, goods, we do not have much of a problem. Determining factors are easy to perceive and ascertain, right? And goods have a more of the value-added chain in small increments. You can make you can easily have a audit trail of the movement of goods. You know where it is being manufactured, who is receiving it. The movement of goods can be tracked. You will know the point of delivery, the location of goods at any point. The point of assembly and installation is ascertainable. But even in goods, there are a few exceptions like supply on board, because the goods keep moving, and supply of gas continuously. So where the supply is being made, there is a challenge. And some time back, we had the issue of whether software is goods or services. I think in TCS judgment, I think it is decided. So whether software is good or services itself is a very big question mark. But as far as services is concerned, yes, it is very, very difficult. As I told you, it is intangible. It may be continuous over a period of time, like construction service, consultancy service. It may happen. The consultant might come to your place, or you might go to the consultant place. So it is very, very difficult to know where the supply is happening. And it is intangible. Maybe it is spread over many places. For example, railway services. Railway, laying of a track, the service of laying of a railway track, it can be in many 2-3 states it can happen. So it is very difficult to ascertain what is the place of supply. Location of the service recipient and the place of consumption may be different. We will take and receiver and place of provision, performance of service, whether it is in a restaurant, theater. So there are so many examples. As I told you, place of provision of immovable property related services and place of enjoyment of service. For example, I get registered my mobile. I buy a mobile and in Bangalore, then go to Delhi and do some roaming call, and I book a ticket using that roaming services from Bombay to again back to Bangalore. So it is very, very confusing. So in all these cases, see, some proxy has to be given. Unless you give some proxy, it is very, very difficult. Everybody has to benefit, because in this GST scenario, each state has to get its tax revenue. The taxpayer also has to have his, the ease of paying tax. So we'll have to bring out the best proxy. So how do we do that? The place of supply rules, I think the law makers have tried to bring out some proxies. We will see how it is done. We'll take some examples. For example, take Maruti Udyog. He is located in Delhi. He wants to conduct an event maybe in Rajasthan. He hires an event manager in Bombay. Okay, so when an event is held in Rajasthan, just imagine, there is a gamut of activities to be done. There may be a stage, there may be artists, there might be some media partners involved, and there might be some consultancy there. So how do you ensure that Maruti Udyog gets seamless credit, and also these players in between, they should also get proper credit? And the states, there are 3 states involved. So the states will start arguing, no, the person, because Maruti Udyog is in Haryana, the tax should go there. No, the event manager is in Bombay, so it should go there. Or our event actually is happening in Rajasthan, so it should go there. So how do you decide this? So then you have an example of destination marriages. Now that is in vogue. So you replace Maruti Udyog by somebody who wants to have a marriage in Rajasthan. So that is a B2C supply. So how do you ensure that? Slightly more complicated. Maruti Udyog says not only in Rajasthan, you provide services in all the states. Then you tell me where it has to go, where the tax has to go if all the 29 states the service is being provided. What do you think so? So where would be the place of supply? Redistributed. Yeah, there are proxies already there. We will discuss that. I'm just trying to build up the context why it is very complex. Even non-compete service is a service, right? Somebody must have told you. Refraining from doing an act is also a service. I just sit down and don't do. If somebody says, okay, you don't open a shop, don't just sit at home, don't do. That is also for a consideration. So he is not doing, he is sitting and doing nothing. So what is he doing and where is he doing? You just sit. So how do you decide where is the place of supply? Just doing nothing. Right? That is a challenge. Then what else can be? The nature of services are changing. Like as I said, online, now you take Tax India Online. For example, I log in. Tax India Online is a portal where we we get all these latest updates about tax changes and things like that. So when I log in, do I bother where the service provider is? We don't know where. Do you know where Tax India the service provider is online? Or Shadi.com, Naukri.com, Flipkart, do you know where it is? It's very difficult to ascertain. Even the service provider, he is least bothered where the service is going as long as he is getting his money. So it is very difficult to ascertain. So what can be the place of supply here? In this online transaction, can somebody tell me what can be the good proxy for this? Is it the location of the recipient or the service provider? Huh? He says provider. Yeah, everybody is right. So we will see different situations. For example, I'll give you another example of airline service. Take, for example, the place of supply is the point of embarkation. Is it okay? If I say the place of supply is the point of embarkation. So what would happen here? If I decide the place of supply is the point of embarkation, what would happen? So states like Chennai, Delhi or Mumbai will benefit from this. If I say point of embarkation, only airports, international airports are there. If some person from Bihar or UP where there is no international airport, okay, he is flying from there. So that state says, no, that fellow belongs to UP. State of UP will say he is a UP fellow. So what if he flies from Bombay? So the place of supply should be UP, or a place of embarkation, it can be the place of embarkation. So these challenges are there. Then onboard services. When you are going on a flight, you are given something free, right? And you can buy also. So, and that flight goes from Bangalore to Delhi and then it goes to Bombay. So where is the place of supply in case of an airline serving on board? What do you decide as the place of supply? So the law says it is the place where the goods are loaded onto the aircraft. So we will come to that. So it's like that. Different situations the lawmakers have decided. But I'm trying to build up the context by saying that it is very complicated because 2-3 services are embedded in one transaction, and we don't know. Somebody can sit in one room like this and 2 persons can provide one service to the other, which is more than the threshold. We don't even know what is happening. It is so easy for a taxpayer in service, especially in service tax, to evade tax. You can see the number of, if you are VAT friends, if you see the service tax side, we have non-filers and stop filers in lakhs. We just can't have a trace of them. They're all fly-by-night operators. They just give service and abscond. No trace of them. It is so difficult just because of the fact that it is intangible in nature.
Sir, this situation is happening now itself.
What's the system? What's the remedy for that in Service Act? Because we, VAT officers, we are totally ignorant of such a situation. So the service offered in a flight, it's happening still now. And what are the taxpayers doing at present? Because there will be a mechanism in the Service Tax Act at present.
It is there. It is
Really an
there.
academic interest
The
I'm
place of
asking
provision of service rules, it is there. Most of it is copied. But I'm just trying to tell you that these are the challenges which can happen. As I told you, the law provides that on-board supply of goods, it is the point of embarkation. We'll just see. We'll come to that. So the challenge involved is selecting the best proxy. The best example is that NASN is hiring this building, this hotel. The service is being provided. I think the hotel will raise an invoice. Where is the place of supply? Place of performance. So it has to be here. So let us go to this place of supply of goods. This is all provided in law. We have just put it in a nice this thing. So as far as goods is concerned, I said it is tangible, no problem. We are able to ascertain. So supplying involving movement. So guess what will be the place of supply? Just let's make it more. Can somebody guess what will be the place of supply? Correct. Exactly. This is provided in the law. You can read. Location of termination of the movement of delivery. It's easy as far as goods are concerned. If it is no movement, for example, a manufacturer hires a machine from somebody in Delhi. He has a unit in Delhi. He hires a machine from another supplier from Haryana, some machine on lease. And later on he decides, oh, machine is performing very well, I'll buy it. So machine is there. The sale happens later. There is no movement of goods, but transaction happens later. Okay, I will keep the machine. So there is no movement of that good. Later on it is decided, okay, I'll hold the machine. I want this, it's performing well. What can be the location at the time of delivery of goods? When the transaction happens, the machine is there. So it will be here in this case, Delhi itself. Supply involving installation and assembly. Location of installation and assembly. Okay? Simple. Goods are quite simple. Delivery on behalf of third person. If I give a instruction, you supply the goods or services to him. So what happens? Yeah, maybe that's a good example. It has been decided. I don't know. Even somehow it didn't strike my sense. It says, the law says place of business of third person. I believe a lot of states had some issue. We were told when we were trained that states had, for center it is okay. We get India is a unit, we are CGST, but I think states had some issue about this. So it says place of business of third person. I don't know the logic behind why it is the third person. That is the destination. Yes. Yeah, the person who is instructing. I am the third person. Yeah, if I am instructing, I will be the third person. Can we read the law? Place of supply for goods. Let us see. So the law says the third person is the person who is giving the direction. Which section is that? Just read 2A. 2A. So this is something we to think about. Third person, they have defined it. Law says so. So we will take it like that. Supply on board the conveyance. I already told you. What is it? Location of taking on board the goods. And there are other supplies. Like the way we are confused, even the lawmakers are confused. They have not envisaged other supplies. There may be so many supplies of goods which they don't know what to do. So what have they done for other supplies? So GST Council also should have some work to do. So it will be on the recommendation of the GST Council. If there are other supplies, they have kept it wide open. It is there. This is there in the law. You can read that. It will be on the recommendation of the GST Council. Now let us come to services. So here you have to remember, as far as services, they have prescribed what is called a default rule and exception. So the default rule says, default rule, if it is a B2B supply, location of the recipient. There are exceptions. If it can be put in any other thing, that will apply. If it is not there, only the default rule will apply. It is like that. Default rule is something, they have given a list of other situations, exceptions, that will come first. You have to apply that first. Then you will have to come back to default rule. So that is the. So default rule, if it is a taxable to taxable person, it is a simple location of the recipient. So whatever examples you might think of, you apply this. That's it. So that is how we have to go about it. If it is a B2B supply, it is. Let us see the exceptions. Then we can see how the default rule works. Then default rule for taxable to non-taxable. It says location of the recipient if address on record. Or else location of supplier, it says. What can be an example for B2C supply services? Yes. If he is doing a proper banking operation, then it will be address on record will be there. If I just go to a bank and say I wanted DD for 1,000 rupees or 5,000 rupees, I think it will be the location of the supplier. So just keep this in mind. Default rule B2B, location of supplier, recipient. B2C, location of, if address is there, it's fine, recipient. If address is not there, location of supplier. So this is the default. Now exceptions to the default rule. If any of the service, the supply falls under this category, this has to be applied first. So let us see. Services in relation to immovable property. So it is the location of the property. Simple. But if the property is located in 3 different states, how are you going to do? Apportion. You say apportion. Okay, fine. On what? Apportionment on what? What is the base of apportionment? Do you mean it's based on the value? Value of the supply? 3 different states are there, 3 different. How? How do you attribute? There should be some base on which. Okay. I'm asking how the apportionment happens. Law is there. So, for example, if a railway line is moving from Karnataka, Andhra and Maharashtra, so if there is a service of laying a road, you're given a contract to somebody. So the law says, I think just read that. Law says, I think you should go by the contract. If contract provides, okay, for the Karnataka portion, so much is your this thing, length. This is your.
I am having a humble request.
Yeah.
While you deal with services, those our respected officers, they are very strong in that area.
I have to come that side.
But please illustrate with the simplest examples, because services in relation to immovable property. You please illustrate with simplest idea, basic examples, sir. Then only we will be strong in that area.
If there is a construction is being made in this thing, it's a location of the property. That's it. There is a what is the confusion in that? I am asking if the property is being constructed in 3 different places, then what would happen? The first exception is very simple. Any service in relation to a immovable property, it is location of property. What is the confusion in that? But here, let me tell you, for your this thing, any service in relation to immovable property is a very wider in scope. So all this comes under immovable property. You can just go through that. Lodging, ancillary service. So the scope of immovable property is very wide. Okay? So in that case, if you, I think, does it say contract? Yeah, if there's a contract agreement, you go by the contract. Best judgment method, that's what it says. Reasonable basis, it says. Yeah. Performance based service, Location where performed. I give you example of training and performance appraisal. Again, it is location where performed. Here it is, they have mentioned it is B to C. If it's from two taxable person, then what would happen? Yes. Here the law says B to C only is where location where performed. If the training and performance appraisal, some supply like that is there between two registered persons, then what will happen? You go back to default rule. Admission to an event. Where is the event happening? Okay. Hmm.
Here, the wedding is taking place over here. Whatever taxes are being paid with respect to the accommodation and everything is being paid over here. Fine. But
Payment, how is it concerned with the payment? It says where it is performed. Supply is happening here. It doesn't matter where you are making the payment, where you are raising the invoice.
so the person in Maharashtra, the supplier of service, he would have to pay tax to the,
Yes, destination based tax, it will come here.
he should pay
Yes, yes. In B2C supply, yeah, billing IGST. Admission to event, where the event is held. Looks simple, but if you go into examples, it gets a little bit complicated how it has to be applied. For example, there is a performance happening. You are providing some passes to end cricket match. So performance based services, I think law provides that it is restaurant, fitness center. Here there is, I'll give you another example. Performance service, that slide, it can get complicated. Why? Because the service recipient may have to go to the service provider. Maybe the service provider have to come there. In these kind of situations, it can happen that either way, recipient comes to the place or the service goes to the recipient's place. It can happen. For example, I give my mobile for a repair. Okay, I am here, but the performance of service is where? In that service shop. So in such situation, it says the location where it is performed.
So all the transactions are being made between me and the Kerala party. So the service is that example.
Yeah. Performance based service.
So invoice is being registered and issued by the Kerala
It's okay.
So he may be collecting GST
Yes.
because the service is made.
Yes, it is a interstate. It is an interstate movement.
Though the happenings is in the same state.
Same state. Yes. IGST. Yes.
Something like Shahana's, that Shahana's Happy goes. She has a client comes to Chennai, client from Kerala comes to Chennai and performs the service there in Chennai. Then the service is supposed to be rendered in Chennai.
Yes. Place of performance. Where the location of the performance, where the actual act is done. That is what it says.
The shopkeeper will raise another invoice, and customer will locate in Trivandrum. So what will be he will pay only CGST, GST?
No, that will also be that from here. Where does the mobile go?
The customer is in Trivandrum, the shop is in Trivandrum.
Yes.
He is getting it
Then it will be local only. Local only. There it will be an interstate transaction. It will be intrastate transaction. First of all, decide whether it is B2B or B2C. Let us see. B2C. So you are downloading the application here. So it has to be the location of the recipient. Where?
Or for example, I'm having a training. For example, the GST training.
Yeah.
Conducted in Maharashtra, all over India it is conducted through online. So people are located to different places. So I think it is the place of location is not in Maharashtra, it's only in Maharashtra.
No.
So location of supplier items.
Okay.
Or some
Yeah. In a default rule B2C, I think it will be the. Huh? Yeah. B2B it will be.
and some software
that's a different taxing jurisdiction. Na?
Import, how the import will be collected?
You collect IGST, that is what it provides. Na? Huh? That will go to that apportionment. It doesn't go to anybody. Huh? Yes, even then you are an importer. Even then you are an importer.
Even a consumer,
Huh?
so I will pay IGST.
Yes. It is not taxable. Exempted.
What is the percentage? I'm not saying. Customs duty.
Basic customs duty plus duty, additional duty. That is equivalent to item local income.
Local excise duty. In lieu of excise duty, that is.
But basic income will become IGST. So even if you take online from outside India, you are an importer.
I am talking about service. I am downloading some software supplied by a person. I mean, situated in other country.
But it is exempt.
Non-business purpose is exempted.
If it is business purpose, I will pay it.
So let us continue. There are some more exceptions. Transportation of goods including mail, courier, B2C, again location where performed. Transportation of passenger, if it is B2B, default rule. If it is B2C, location of embarkation. Here the law provides the transportation of passenger B2C can you envisage any situation where the point of embarkation is not provided? I'll give you an example. For example, some airlines have a scheme. You buy some 5 first class tickets for some 20,000. I will allow you to travel in the next 6 months at the place. You can travel anywhere in India, embark anywhere. You don't know the point of, at that point of time you don't know the point of embarkation. Though it says location of embarkation, for right of passage for future, where point of embarkation is not known, where do you go? Default rule. That's a good example because airlines do give. You buy, just pay me 30,000 or 25,000, I'll give you 6 business class tickets. You use it for a period of 1 year. Anywhere in India you travel. So, here for the, and one more thing it provides, the law provides that return journey shall be treated as separate journey. That is because every state has to get. So if I have a ticket from Bangalore to Delhi, okay, so tax will go to where? Embarkation. That will be treated as separate ticket. Even though I book one ticket from Bangalore to Delhi and Delhi Bangalore, it will be return journey shall be treated as separate journey. So Delhi also will get some revenue from this. So telecom services we have discussed. It's they have simplified it like this: fixed lines, where installed for use. That will be known B2B supplies. Offices will be there. Where this includes B2C also. If it is postpaid, the billing address, we all have postpaid connections. We have to give our address. We have to take the connection. Prepaid, where voucher sold if address not available. Banking and financial services including broking. It says location of recipient if on record, else location of the service provider. Advertising service to government. Proportionate, for example, Government of India is a very rich body. It has a lot of funds for advertising. So it says, it tells Doordarshan or some FM channel, okay, I want my schemes to be disseminated in all the states. So Doordarshan does it in all the states. Okay, so how do you go about it? It is services providing in all the states. So the law says proportionate to each identifiable state. Huh? Proportion on the value, not population. Should be value. Can we just go through the act? Please? Maybe it is not provided. It's a good question. How it is being done? Again, it says contract. The law says contract. And this we already discussed, service on board the conveyance, first scheduled point of departure. So any observations or anything? I hope at the end of this lecture at least I as a master trainer have made some value addition. So you will also be in the same seat maybe in the next 2 weeks. So my best wishes to you. Because last 2 weeks, at least for me individually and a lot of the master trainers have been GST and GST, because it takes some reading, it takes some understanding to do a presentation. So it helps you, and it will prepare you for the thing also. So thank you very much, and it has been a great experience getting to know all of you. Thank you.